Hello viewers, today I will be discussing a very important topic called menstrual cycle and ovulation, okay? Menstrual cycle and ovulation. And I want to keep this video very simple so that everyone can benefit, okay? Regardless of your professional background, okay? So, there are three main aspects to menstrual cycle, alright? We have the menstrual cycle duration, the menstrual cycle length, and ovulation itself, okay? The essence of this video is to ensure that everyone out there know what is normal and what is abnormal, all right? So that they will know when to seek help from a medical professional, all right? Yes, and also help those that are dealing with fertility issues to have a better understanding, okay, of their cycle length and how to predict their ovulation to increase their chances of getting pregnant, all right? So, now, the normal cycle duration ranges between 2 days to 7 days. So, this is the normal, all right? 2 to 7 days, all right? So, but the average is about 4 to 5 days. For most people, it can be 4 to 5 days. But if you have a menstrual cycle duration between 2 to 7 days, it means normal. So, menstrual cycle duration actually means how many days do you flow? Or how many days does your period last? That is what it means by menstrual cycle duration. How many days your period lasts? So if your period lasts between 2 to 7 days, it's considered normal. But I know most people have 4 to 5 days. All right? I know there are other factors that come into play, like how heavy is the period, the number of pads you use, then how soaked each pad becomes. Then other symptoms, what other symptoms do you feel? Do you feel extremely weak as a result of your menstrual period or severe pain? These are the other factors, all right? But I want to keep this video simple as I promised earlier. So then the next one will be the cycle length. So menstrual cycle length. It actually means the number of days between the beginning of one cycle to the beginning of another cycle, all right? But you are going to count just the beginning of one cycle for a particular cycle. The beginning of the other cycle, another cycle, will be the first day of the next cycle. I will throw more light on it, all right? So, the normal cycle length is not fixed for everyone. It may range between 21 days to 35 days. So, if you have a cycle length of about between 21 to 35 days, is considered normal if it is the same or similar pattern for a particular individual. On the average, most people have a menstrual cycle length of about 28 days. All right? So, is it going to be always fixed 28 days for everyone? No. All right? Yeah, because the normal range is 21 to 35 days. And even for a particular individual, if, for instance, your menstrual cycle length is 28 days, it doesn't mean that every month it must be 28 days. It may vary slightly. Maybe it can come down to 27 days, or it can go up to about 29 days. But the average is still 28 days, because 27 to 29, if you take the average, it will be 28. All right? And then the other aspect that is very important is the ovulation. Okay? Ovulation occurs 14 days before the next period. I will explain. A lot of people think ovulation occurs 14 days after the beginning of the period. No, it is 14 days before the next period. By the time I explain, then you will understand better. All right? So, I want to use this to demonstrate the menstrual cycle length and the likely day of ovulation. So, you know, for most women, the average menstrual cycle length is 28 days. All right, and for those women, they are likely to ovulate on day 14 of their menstrual cycle. Counting from the first day the period started as day 1, the day 14 is likely going to be their ovulation, okay? Now, so regardless of your menstrual cycle length, from what I want to describe, you'll be able to know or calculate your likely day of ovulation. So, if your menstrual cycle length is, for instance, is 24 days, which is 4 days less than 28. Because 28 minus 24 will give you 4. what you just do is minus 4 from 14 give you 10. The same direction, okay? If your menstrual cycle is shorter, your ovulation day will be shorter, okay? With the same number of days, all right? So if you have a menstrual cycle length of 21 days, for instance, just 28 minus 21 give you 7. So if menstrual cycle length of 28 days ovulate on day 14, minus 7 from 14 give you 7. So 21 days menstrual cycle length will ovulate on the day 7, which is just few days after completing their menstrual flow. For instance, most people, their menstrual flow might be 4 days or 5 days, all right? Now, let's go to the higher side. So if your menstrual cycle length is on the higher side, let's say every 30 days, okay, on the average. Now, you can see that difference between 30 and 28 is 2 days, all right? So if the menstrual cycle length of 28 days, we have ovulation around 14 days. So add 2 to this 14, give you 16. So those with menstrual cycle length of 30 days are likely to ovulate on the day 16th of their menstrual cycle. Likewise, 35 days menstrual cycle, 35 minus 28 is 7. So add 7 to 14, give you 21. Those whose menstrual cycle length is about 35 days, their ovulation are likely to occur on the day 21 of their menstrual cycle. So when you know this, you'll be able to time your the period where you meet your husband or your partner to maximize your chances of getting pregnant if you are actually seeking and hoping to get pregnant. And also, if you don't want to get pregnant, you can also know the best time not to meet or use extra protection, all right, when meeting your partner. So this brings us to the fertile period. What is the fertile period? The fertile period is the period in which a couple or partner will meet and is likely to result in pregnancy. All right? That is the fertile period. So now I haven't had the knowledge of when ovulation is likely to occur, regardless of the time your ovulation, the day your ovulation will occur. Fertile period will always be 3 to 5 days before the day of the ovulation, and the day of the ovulation, and 1 day after the ovulation. That is because sperm is able to survive in the woman's reproductive tract, okay, for 3 to 5 days. Most will survive for 3 days, which is 72 hours. But in some cases, sperm may be able to survive up to 5 days in the woman reproductive tracts. All right. So then also when the egg is released, it have a lifespan of 12 to 24 hours. Okay. That is why up to 1 day after ovulation may still be a fertile period, because 1 day after ovulation is 24 hours. Okay. If the egg is able to survive up to 24 hours, but most survive 12 to 24 hours. So with this, regardless of the day of ovulation, you'll be able to know when your fertile period is. However, I have stated here that the closer to the ovulation day, the higher the chances, all right, of getting pregnant. Yeah, that is because if, for instance, your ovulation day is day 14, all right, and you are meeting, let's say, 2 days before that 14, you have the higher chances that the sperm is going to still be alive 2 days before the 14, because on the average, it is 3 days. But in some cases, it can stay up to 5 days, like I mentioned earlier. But however, if your ovulation is around day 14, and you are meeting exactly that 5 days before the 14 or 4 days before the 14, the chances may be reduced, because what about if that man's sperm survive only 2 days or 3 days, like that? So that is it. So the closer the day to the ovulation day, the better, all right? And if it's after the ovulation, the closer it is also to the ovulation day, maybe 6 hours after ovulation, 12 hours after ovulation, is better than 12 hours after ovulation. And 12 hours after ovulation is better than meeting 24 hours after ovulation. But when it gets to 48 hours after ovulation, 72 hours, nothing is going to happen, okay? All right. That brings us to the end of this section.